Welcome to Charlie's Chills, where we unravel bone-chilling real haunted stories from around the world. I'm Charlie, your host, bringing you tales from the internet and our listeners that will haunt your dreams. Follow us on X, Threads, Instagram, and Facebook at Charlie's Chills for your daily dose of spookiness. If you're creeped out and captivated, like, share, and subscribe, or follow, depending on your platform. And if you want to dive deeper into the shadows, contribute through buymeacoffee.com/charlieschills. All links in the description. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the world of Charlie's Chills. In the late 1980s, our quiet neighborhood had a slender but incredibly courageous watchman. He and his brother were the stalwart guardians of our homes by night, renowned for their unwavering integrity and dauntless spirit. The community held them in high regard, especially that fearless watchman. In those days, our locality was a haven of tranquility, untouched by the menace of robberies and thefts, and yet, we all believed in the importance of nighttime vigilance. Our watchman brothers patrolled our streets after dark, as the day required no such sentry. The early 80s had been relatively peaceful compared to the late 80s when a sudden surge of thefts, robberies, and extortion gripped our area. Blame it on the media's glorification of the Mumbai underworld, but every neighborhood bully and street thug began to harbor delusions of grandeur, aspiring to become the next mafia kingpin. The police made valiant efforts to curb this menace, achieving significant success, but a few of these wannabes always eluded capture. While daytime remained safe and sound for civilians, the nights cast a shadow of fear across our localities. It was during these dark hours that these thieves saw their chance to carry out their nefarious deeds. On several occasions, they tried to breach our homes and apartments, only to be thwarted by our alert residents and those two valiant watchmen. Days passed peacefully, free from tension. Then came that dreadful, unimaginable, and fateful night. During an unsuccessful burglary attempt, a confrontation with the watchman turned violent. The culprits overpowered our beloved watchman, and in a gruesome turn of events, one of them brutally took his life. Tragically, the watchman's brother was absent that night due to health issues, and the injuries inflicted upon him proved fatal. He took his last breath at the scene. This incident sent shockwaves through our community, igniting outrage and chaos. We united in our demand for the arrest of the burglars and, more specifically, the murderer. After about 2 months, the police apprehended the culprits and presented them in court. They were sentenced to around 20 years of imprisonment. Now, here come two mysterious occurrences that defy explanation. Firstly, a few days after their incarceration, one of the culprits began screaming and pleading for help during the night. When the prison guards inquired about the cause of his distress, he sobbed and begged them to take this man out of here and please don't let him come here, pointing frantically at one corner of his cell. The guards searched every inch of the cell but found nothing unusual. The following night, the same culprit resumed his panicked cries for help, repeating the exact same plea. Once again, the guards conducted a thorough search, but nothing out of the ordinary was discovered. This bizarre pattern continued for several nights until one morning, at nearly 10 a.m., he was found lifeless in his cell. Strangely, it was revealed that the time he cried out in terror during the night corresponded exactly to the time he had ruthlessly murdered the watchman. His demise, too, occurred at the same hour as the watchman's cremation. It sounds fantastical and astounding, doesn't it? Yet, it's an undeniable fact. The second inexplicable phenomenon involves those who attempted robberies or other illicit activities. Invariably, they lost their sanity overnight, leaving everyone puzzled to this day. We remember our watchman fondly, a man of honesty, humility, and benevolence. He was truly a gem among us, and his memory lives on. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just ventured into another eerie tale from the depths of the unknown. But fear not, there's more spine-tingling content coming your way after this short break. While we take a breather, remember to follow us on X, formerly Twitter, Threads, Instagram, and Facebook, at Charlieishills, to stay updated on all things supernatural. If you've been enjoying these chilling stories, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, or follow, depending on your platform. After wandering for some time, I stumbled upon a grand hotel. It had an old, heritage-like charm to it. I entered the lobby, and the young man at the reception greeted me with a smile. They offered me a room for just 2,000 rupees per night, which was surprisingly cheap for this hour, considering the hotel's reputation. The bellhops were courteous and asked, "Welcome, sir. Can we assist you with your bags?" I declined their offer, as I only had a backpack, and made my way to my room on the second floor. The room was dimly lit, with antique furniture adding to its old-world charm. Despite its age, it was clean and comfortable. I decided to settle in and get some rest before my journey back home the next day. As I lay in bed, exhaustion quickly overcame me, and I drifted off to sleep. Hours passed, and I was in a deep slumber when I was suddenly awakened by strange noises coming from the hallway. It sounded like someone was walking, but the steps were slow and deliberate, as if someone was dragging their feet. I tried to ignore it and go back to sleep, but the sounds only grew louder and more unsettling. Finally, I couldn't take it any longer. I got up, opened the door, and peered into the hallway. But there was no one there. The hallway was empty, lit only by the faint moonlight filtering through the windows. Yet, the sounds continued. I realized that the noises were coming from the room next door, a room that was supposed to be vacant, as there were no other tourists on my floor. My curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to investigate. I knocked on the door, but there was no response. As I turned to leave, I saw a dark shadow move across the wall inside the room. It was not a well-defined figure, just a shapeless shadow. Suddenly, a chilling breeze swept past me, and I felt a presence behind me. I turned around and saw the shadow again, floating in the air, casting an ominous aura. It seemed to be staring at me with an unknown intention. I froze in terror as the shadow floated closer, its form growing larger and more intimidating. I could feel its eerie presence crawling across my skin, and I realized that I was facing something far more sinister than an empty hotel room. In a panic, I stumbled out of the room, my heart pounding with fear. I quickly gathered my belongings and ran out of the hotel, never looking back. I had encountered something beyond the natural world, something inexplicable and terrifying. I spent the rest of the night at a temple near the railway station, waiting for my train to Mumbai. As my fear began to subside, I returned to the hotel and spoke to the bellboy. He revealed that the room I had stayed in was haunted, as a lady had recently committed suicide there. They had given me the room because I had mentioned that I would stay for only a few hours, unaware of its dark history. When I returned home, I shared my experience with a close friend who had stayed in the same room. To my surprise, they confessed to having a similar encounter at the same vintage hotel, known for its scenic views from the room windows. It seemed that the shadowy apparition I had encountered was not a product of my imagination but a terrifying reality. As I look back on that night, I still wonder about the shadowy figure and what it wanted from me. Was it a mere trick of the light, or was it something far more sinister? Whatever it was, it left an indelible mark on my memory and a lasting fear in my heart. So, if you ever find yourself wandering alone in a deserted place, keep your wits about you and be prepared for the unexpected. You never know what may be lurking in the shadows, waiting to reveal its true form. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just ventured into another eerie tale from the depths of the unknown. But fear not, there's more spine-tingling content coming your way after this short break. While we take a breather, remember to follow us on X, formerly Twitter, Threads, Instagram, and Facebook, at Charlieshills, to stay updated on all things supernatural. If you've been enjoying these chilling stories, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, or follow, depending on your platform, so you never miss a heart-pounding episode. And for those brave souls who want to support our quest for the paranormal, consider contributing through buymeacoffee.com/charlieschills. So, don't wander too far. We'll be back with more hair-raising tales, inexplicable encounters, and unsettling mysteries. Stay tuned, because Charlie's Chills returns in just a moment. Keep those lights on, my friends. This eerie tale hails from the year 2005, a time when my newlywed wife and I were living in Kolkata. With a small hereditary house filled to the brim with furniture, we decided it was high time to move. Our quest for a new place led us to a beautiful house, one with a bedroom enveloped by windows from all sides. However, a peculiar twist awaited us. The landlord insisted that one room must always remain locked. Despite the enigmatic conditions and our suspicions about a 2 BHK rental in the prime location of Park Street being offered for a mere 5,000 Rs, we were in a hurry to move and brushed off our doubts. To ensure a proper start in our new abode, my wife suggested performing a Griha Pravesha ceremony, a Hindu ritual marking one's entry into a new home. According to tradition, we needed to reside in the house for 3 nights following the ceremony to avoid attracting negative energies. I promised my wife that after the puja, I and some friends would stay there for those crucial 3 nights. However, we forgot about this vital commitment. The day we finally entered the room, things started innocently enough. In the beginning, we felt no different. But as time passed, my wife began to report strange occurrences, the sound of someone moving through the corridor, mysterious movements on the balcony, and an inexplicable heaviness in the air. I, on the other hand, remained oblivious to these oddities despite my attempts to observe them discreetly. Her cooking, once a source of joy, began to taste like gritty sand, straining our relationship. I assumed it was merely her reluctance to cook that caused this shift. We also noticed peculiar happenings with our groceries. Condiments left outside the fridge would inexplicably spoil and turn green overnight. Then came the day when my wife woke me up in a panic, claiming she heard footsteps. Our bedroom, functioning as a sacred worship place, puja ghar, seemed to be the only sanctuary. I rushed to the balcony, flinging open the door, and was greeted by a chilling sight. A clear, ominous shadow of a woman materialized before my eyes, only to vanish within seconds. Terrified and desperate for answers, we turned to a tantric recommended by our uncle's friend. We provided him with dust from our home, hoping for insight. His diagnosis was unsettling, a negative energy was indeed haunting us. This entity had a particular aversion to women, which explained my obliviousness to its presence. With this revelation, we wasted no time. We abandoned the house, seeking refuge in a new dwelling. To our astonishment, when we later consulted with the neighbors, they confirmed our worst fears. No one had lasted more than 2 months in that accursed abode. Couples had divorced, health issues had emerged, and strange phenomena had plagued those who dared to stay. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just ventured into another eerie tale from the depths of the unknown. But fear not, there's more spine-tingling content coming your way after this short break. While we take a breather, remember to follow us on X, formerly Twitter, Threads, Instagram, and Facebook, at Charlieshills, to stay updated on all things supernatural. If you've been enjoying these chilling stories, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, or follow, depending on your platform, so you never miss a heart-pounding episode. And for those brave souls who want to support our quest for the paranormal, consider contributing through buymeacoffee.com/charlieschills. So, don't wander too far. We'll be back with more hair-raising tales, inexplicable encounters, and unsettling mysteries. Stay tuned, because Charlie's Chills returns in just a moment. Keep those lights on, my friends. This eerie tale unfolds just a month ago when my maternal cousin paid a visit to my family and me. She had a peculiar habit, stemming from her life back in her native city, where she'd venture into the park with her dogs after dinner. It was a common ritual for her, one that she continued during her stay with us. So, this time, I decided to accompany her, the clock already ticking past 11:30 p.m. As we entered the park, located just a stone's throw from my house, I couldn't shake the feeling that this walk wouldn't be a brief one. You see, my cousin had a penchant for long nocturnal strolls. True to form, after a few laps around the park's perimeter, it was barely 11:50 p.m. when she suddenly veered left towards an exit. I followed suit, my curiosity piqued, and we returned home well before the midnight hour struck. After killing some time on YouTube and watching random videos, I was about to call it a night, but my younger cousin's sister startled me with an unexpected proclamation: I saw something in the park. I was momentarily taken aback, caught off guard by her spontaneous revelation. "What do you mean?" I inquired, genuinely intrigued. With a hint of trepidation in her voice, she began recounting her chilling experience. She described how, while we had strolled along the park's edges, she'd spotted a shadowy figure on the far side of the park, beyond the fence. I tried to rationalize, suggesting it might have been a person standing there. But she insisted, "No, Dee, I know what I saw." According to her, as we approached the opposite end of the park, just across from the exit, she had clearly seen a dark, human-shaped silhouette. It wasn't a trick of the light or some mundane object, it stood there distinctly, seemingly plucked from another world and pasted into the scene. It remained motionless until it sensed her gaze, then abruptly turned to face her. At that point, she was overcome with fear, realizing this entity was far from human. Its unnatural stillness and its detachment from its surroundings were deeply unsettling. By the time I called her back to catch up, I had unknowingly distanced myself from her. She hadn't said a word at the time. Left with one lingering question: why did the presence vanish the moment I entered my home? Was it the protective aura of the spiritual statues and totems within, or something far more sinister? As we wrap up another spine-tingling episode of Charlie's Chills, thank you, fearless listeners, for joining our eerie exploration. Keep the chills alive by following us on X, Threads, Instagram, and Facebook at Charlieshills. Like, share, subscribe, or follow, and stay connected. For those who dare to venture further, consider contributing through buymeacoffee.com/charlieschills. Your support fuels our haunting tales. Find all the links in the description. Stay haunted, stay curious, and stay tuned for more chilling stories. This is Charlie, signing off.